It is time for your WIN podcast for super busy professionals sharing transformational moments. Your host, Chu Tang.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to your WIN podcast. Today, I have my special guest, Stef with us. Welcome, Stef.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. Stef, would you share a pivotal transformational moment in your life that changed your life forever with our audience?
A transformational period of my life, I was 21 years old and I was dating a person who was not in the same city as me. I went away to university, and the second year I was away, he got very jealous, insecure. And it started with little things like, if I left you, no one would want you. Or if you gained any weight, no one would want you anyway. And it got to the point where my whole goal was to get as thin as him, which he has a smaller frame than me. So he's usually 20 pounds lighter than I am. And I had basically gotten to the point where I worked out about 8 to 10 hours a day, and I ate about a bowl of food with the of if I ate any more, I would put on weight. And my cousins who were in school with me were just like, something's up because Stef is losing a lot of weight. And the interesting thing about it was my Asian grandmothers were just like, oh my God, you're finally looking good. Where my doctor, who saw me just a few hours before my grandmother said that, was very concerned, to the point where he was like, have my lunch. You need to eat right now. And then I come home to my grandmother saying, oh, you finally look good. So it with the boyfriend, it escalated where I finally broke up with him. And before going back to university, he became my stalker and then my assailant. For years after that, I had the weirdest fear that if I told anyone, especially a man, that they would be proud of him for getting me. And it took 4 guy friends that I had when I started to share what was going on or what I went through, just the complete enragement that they had was, wow, I didn't know that that is the normal response. I thought that response would be that they would be happy for him. How that has changed my life is that since then, I've learned, or I've gained the strength that I don't know if I would have gotten if this didn't happen, but also that I come first. And in a relationship, if a person is just like has so many mean things to say, we aren't the right fit. I need to walk away. And I'm not going to say I'm happy or grateful for the experience, but I'm grateful for the growth that I had from the experience. So that is my transformational event. And what makes me stand up for victims, I remember after it happened, for a few years, I would literally go into forums trolling for victims. So I could reach out to them and share resources that they might not know were there. I didn't know resources were out there. And I was very grateful that after it happened, I went to a Planned Parenthood. And one of the questions were you ever forced to have sex? And I said yes. And the nurse who saw this asked me what happened, and I shared it with her. And she looked at me, and her words stayed with me the longest, because she just said, "You will be okay from one survivor to another." And it was just, okay, I'm not alone. And she looks like she's doing wonderfully. So there's a chance for me to make it through all of this.
Mm.
It really pains me to know that there are so many, mostly women, but there are also men who go through this.
Mm.
And the way that the society is set up, it's like the victims feel shame.
Mm.
In fact, they didn't do anything wrong. They should be supported, they should be helped, they should be held. And it just amazes me that the mentality is there that you put yourself in danger. It
Mm.
serves you right. As opposed to, this person was completely in the wrong, and let me support you. I
Yeah.
remember I was a poller for an election,
Mm.
and there was a guy who would literally say things that were very provocative.
Mm.
And I remember saying to him, this could be misconstrued as sexual harassment.
Mhm, mhm.
Looked at me and said, "I don't even think of you that way, so this isn't that."
Oh,
And I remember the thing that pissed me off the most was that I reported it to my boss.
yeah.
And her response was, "You are being too soft. He is just an
Mm.
old man looking to get a rise out of you." And it wasn't until I turned around and shared my past where
Mhm.
she, "Oh, no, you're okay, don't worry about it." It's still never, he was wrong.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
okay, no, it's not that. You're okay, don't worry. And like that still pissed me off. It's like, oh, so it's okay for him to do that if I wasn't assaulted. But
Mm.
if I was, okay, I understand why you are soft. And it's like, wait, what? I remember reporting it, and literally the next day I was moved to another location. They did not address it at all.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's another thing that really annoys me, is that the way society is set up, it's okay to do things like that
Mm.
because, quote, he probably won't do that to anyone else, when in fact he's probably doing that across the board. And with my experience, I know that it's not all men. It's a very small percentage, but still, they make basically mankind look terrible, because the good ones can't really go out there and do something. It's not, society isn't set up
Mm.
to have it so that a good man can go out and step up for whoever it is. It doesn't even have to be his partner. It could just be a woman he saw,
Mhm, mhm.
even a man he saw. And still, it's the victim's fault because they put themselves in the wrong place, or they were dressed wrong, or whatever stupid idea they have, as opposed to he did something wrong.
Yeah, that's wrong. Yeah. So you mentioned that there are resources. If someone have a stalker, what's a good starting point?
Thankfully, if you report it to the police, you have a stalker. When it happened to me, it was right on the cusp of it becoming law. At the
Oh,
time before that, they didn't fully see a stalker as a potential threat. Like, there was
okay.
a law written for somebody to say, "I have a stalker," and police to step in. Like, literally,
Mm.
they couldn't do anything until you were hurt.
Okay.
Nowadays, there are laws that will step in and say, "Okay, we can help you."
Okay.
So report it to your police, because when it happened to me, I did not report anything. 2 reasons. First, I didn't want to have to go through the hell of, so what were you doing? What were you wearing? Like, basically the
Mm.
blame on me. And then the second one is I didn't want my mom to have to go through that,
Oh,
because
right.
if it went to trial, now it's on a grander scale of,
Mm.
well, you deserve this, or you sleep around whether or not I did, and I didn't, but it wouldn't have mattered. They would have basically smeared my name. So I didn't want my mom to have to go through that. And sadly, I think the statistic is it's like 1 in 4 women who are attacked don't
Mm.
report it.
Oh, yep.
Sadly, that's also the statistic for assault. It's like 1 in 4 women. Hopefully, it's still 4 and hasn't moved up to 3. But I think the last time I checked is 1 in 4 women will be assaulted or have been assaulted
Mm.
at one point in their life.
Yeah. So talk to the police. Yep.
There's that, and then for sexual assault, there's RAINN, RAINN. At the moment, I cannot remember the acronym is for. And also to reach out, like if there is, I remember now they don't call it domestic abuse. They call it intimate. It's not called domestic abuse anymore, because
Mm.
it could be, you could be the caregiver and it's your patient or your loved
Mm.
one, the one
Mm.
causing the abuse. And just reach out, have the courage to reach out,
Yeah.
because there are people there are always people looking to help. But if
Yeah.
they don't even know you need help, they can't help you.
Right. Right. So when I post this podcast, maybe you can share with us some links. Yeah.
Yes, I will.
Some resources. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you
You
for
are
sharing
so
your story.
welcome.
Yeah. You guys like this episode, come back, and until then, stay happy and hopeful. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share. See you soon at Your Win Podcast.